Now we are going to discuss the fourth type of animal tissue, that is the nervous tissue. It is very important tissue because somehow bringing that live character, living character to an entity is possible because of the neurons which are present inside it, the nervous tissue which is present inside it, because it is responsible for taking up the stimulus, all right, and then processing it and then showing responsiveness that enables a thing to be termed as living. We do it that a thing is living because of its metabolism and because of its responsiveness. Responsiveness includes the stimulus, and who perceives the stimulus? It is this nervous tissue that perceives the stimulus. All right, we know that when we are discussing a tissue, it is going to have different types of or similar types of cells inside it. So this nervous tissue, like other tissues of the animal body, that is the epithelium we have discussed the muscular tissue, and we have discussed the very extensive tissue present in our body, that is the connective tissue. The nervous tissue is little bit simple, but though it performs very complex functions, it is simple because it is having only two types of cells, out of which the one cell is the most important one, the other one is for the nourishment of the important cell. Alright, so when I say these terms, it must be coming to your mind that it is the neuron I am talking about. So there are two types of cells which are present in the nervous tissue. The two different types of cells are the neurons and the glial cells. Alright, the main function is being performed by the neurons, and for the nourishment of neurons we have glial cells which surround the nervous tissue. Another name for these is neuroglial cells. Alright, neuroglial cells which are responsible for nourishment of the neurons, and these neurons are very important for the conduction of nerve impulses, which are very important for the control and coordination of different processes, physiological processes inside the organism's body. More the organism is advanced in terms of development, it would have more complex nervous tissue, or it would have greater amount of nervous tissue present inside it, because more is the number of neurons, more would be the control and coordination mechanism, which would be complex. So we have two types of cells. First one is neurons and the glial cells, which are for nourishment of the neurons, and they are present around the neurons. Second thing you have to remember is that these neurons, which are the important part of the cell, they are present in bundles. Okay, so we come across a term known as neurolemma. Because I'm talking about nervous tissue, so it has something to do with terms like brain, spinal cord and nerves. So this neurolemma is having many nerve fibers. Nerve fibers means the neurons. Neurons, they would be present in the form of bundles. Supposedly this is a neuron bundle. It is having many neurons inside it. So the sheath which would be covering these neurons would be known as neurolemma. Okay, so we come across a term that is to be remembered, and that is neurolemma. These I have taken over here as the nerve fibers. Let's see it over here. If this is one neuron, these are the nerve fibers. Many neurons, when they are present together, they would be coiled, they would be present in the form of a bundle or a bunch, and that bunch would be surrounded by the neurolemma layer. Another thing to be remembered and crammed by heart is that this neurolemma is not found in brain and spinal cord. It would be found in nerves, but not in ganglionic cells and in the brain and spinal cord that I am telling you. The rest aspects of the neurons can be studied well when we study nervous system. For now, we only need to understand that what are the cells which are present inside the nervous tissue and where they are located, and what are the different classifications if we have to classify this nervous tissue or the types of cells present inside a human body or any animal body, because all the animals, irrespective of their organization level, they would have these four types of tissues only, and nervous being the fourth one and the simplest one. We need to understand that the neuron is the basic cell that we have to study. So when we study neuron, first of all, we see that there are nerve processes, two nerve processes which are to be studied in depth. First nerve process that we study is the dendrite or the dendron, and the other one is the axon. So we have axon and the dendron, these two nerve processes which are arising from the cell body. Okay, the other name for cell body is soma. Alright, this cell body is giving rise to a much elongated axon, long nerve process, and many nerve processes in the form of dendrons, which are known as dendrites. As you can see over here, these dendrites are in contact, would be in contact with many places. They would bring the stimulus or the signal towards the cell. Okay, and this is the axon which takes the signal, this long process which takes the signal away from the cell body, and this axon would be in further contact with the rest of the dendrites from the point of synapse. Okay, synapse is present between an axon and a dendron, which is responsible. It could be chemical synapse, it could be electric synapse. These terms would be quite baffling to you, but for now you need to know that dendrons and axons would be in contact with each other, and the term that we use over there is synapse. Just for knowing it, keep it in mind that synapse is something. When we study the nerve impulse conduction, then we get to know what these synapse and other things are. For now, all you have to understand that this axon is long and the dendrons are smaller. This cell body would have many Nissel's granules inside it, and in terms of arrangement of the axon, or how this axon is present, we have two types of neurons. Okay, first one is myelinated and other one is non-myelinated. Let us come to that later on. For once, let us see on the basis of that I have written over here, that's why I am taking that first. On the basis of the number of nerve processes which are arising from the cell body, the cell body is giving rise to how many nerve processes? We have three different types of neurons. Okay, we're not talking much about glial cells because they are simple cells which are responsible for nourishment of these neurons. These neurons, they are further of three types on the basis how many processes are arising from them. So we have three different types of neurons. As you can see over here, this is a unipolar neuron. All right, this is a bipolar neuron and this is a multipolar neuron. Now, terms are quite descriptive in themselves, but for now, see, unipolar neuron, the number of processes which would be arising from the cell body, it would be one, and that would be an axon only. Alright, this is an axon which is arising from the cell body. There would be no dendron which would be present. So we have unipolar neurons, and in the early embryonic stages, the entire nervous tissue is having these neurons only. Okay, this is one thing that is to be remembered, that the early embryos, they have unipolar neurons. Now we have bipolar neurons. Bi means two. So in case of our eye cells, that is retina is supplied with many bipolar neurons which they get convoluted into a ganglion. So this bipolar neuron would have one axon and one dendrite. So there is one axon which is arising, another one is a dendrite, that is a bipolar neuron. And in the case of multipolar neurons, you know, our brain is the main center of all the coordination activities. It is the master organ in terms of coordination. So it is having many multipolar neurons which are having many dendrites and many axons, so that they come in contact with each other, and there is fast processing which is to be enabled by the brain, so that the organism is able to conduct its coordination activities at a very lightning pace. So for that we have multipolar neurons. So what you have to remember is, this would have no dendron, this would have a dendrite and an axon, and it would have multiple axons and multiple dendrites that would be present in a multipolar neuron. So dendrites are many, as you can see, so that it can take maximum stimulus or the maximum signals towards the cell body, and it goes further into the axon terminals and it passes to the next neuron. So this is all about the classification of nervous tissue on basis of the number of nerve processes which arise from the cell body. Coming back to the cell itself, the nervous cell, we have another classification which is observed in terms of myelin sheath. Whether the myelin sheath is present or not, we have two types of neurons. So there is another classification. The two types of neurons which are present on basis of the presence of myelin sheath are myelinated neurons and non-myelinated neurons. Okay, name suggests myelinated would be having myelin sheath and non-myelinated would not be having the myelin sheath. Now the question arises, what is this myelin sheath all about? Now this myelinated sheath is something, supposedly I am holding this wire and I start coiling a ribbon over it, and I keep on coiling it until it becomes this thick. So is in the case of myelin sheath. There is a sheath, myelin sheath, made up of myelin, which surrounds the exolemma. There is a new term that comes into scene, that is exolemma, axon, the membrane of the axon. This is what is axon, this entire thing, this is the membrane which separates the exoplasm, that is the cytoplasm present inside the axon, from the rest of the surroundings, that is known as exolemma. So the myelin sheath would surround the exolemma. Okay, wherever this myelin sheath is absent, it forms patches, small patches over here. Wherever this myelin sheath is absent, we have another term that comes into scene, that is known as nodes of Ranvier. I hope I am able to create a picture in your mind that what we are studying and what we are discussing basically is a typical nervous cell. We are inside the axon. Supposedly you are inside the axon, you would be surrounded by an exolemma, and over that exolemma there would be a lot of coiling of the myelin sheath. Wherever that myelin sheath would be absent, the exolemma would be exposed, and that particular part or that particular point is known as node of Ranvier. This exolemma, it terminates into the terminal branches of the axon, which are again in contact with rest of the dendrites. I did tell you that the Nissl granules, small granules which appear darker in color, they are present inside the cell body. There is a nucleus which is present inside the cell body, because of course it is a cell, it would have a nucleus, the governing organelle which would undertake all the activities, genetic activities of this cell, and it would be surrounded all around by neuroglial cells which would be providing the entire nourishment to this particular cell. So this is all about a typical neuron. What you have to remember is that a cell body is having processes. First one is dendrite, which brings the signal to the cell body. Second one is axon, which takes away the signal. This axon could have its exoplasm surrounded by a myelin sheath, or it could not be having. In case it is having myelin sheath around it, it would be myelinated. If it is not having, it would be non-myelinated. In case of myelinated neurons, you will have nodes of Ranvier which would be present. If it is not there, there is no case of node which would be present, and it is this exolemma through which the exolemma that I discussed about, this membrane surrounding the exoplasm, it is through this exolemma the membrane potential changes and the signals are passed. Alright, so this is all about the nervous tissue which is extensively present in our body. The nervous tissue would be in contact with the connective tissue and rest of the organs of the body which would take up the stimulus. So this is all about the animal tissues. I hope you understand each and every tissue from the point of view that where they are located, what are the types of cells which are present inside them, and what are the different functions which they perform inside the body. Thank you.